Okay, there we go. Good. So everybody's muted. Excellent. Great to see everybody there. We almost got 100 people here on the call today, which is fantastic. I'm going to use this time effectively and as efficiently as possible to give you tools, to give you ideas, strategies around how to maximize your productivity while working from home, while telecommuting. So you can get the chat box going. If you something that resonates with you and it excites you, type it in the chat box, send it out to everybody. Send that ideas out, get those flowing. If you have questions to me, throw them at me as well. And let's get going, everybody. Before we do, a couple things. One of them is a quote, actually. And this quote is from a movie I used to watch as a high school kid. It was called Van Wilder. It was back in like 2002, and Van was like the coolest guy in the college scene and this and that, big man on campus. And he used to say, worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. And I thought, wow, that's so applicable for our time right today. Is worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives us something to do, but it gets us nowhere. So what do we do? And that's what we're going to be here talking about today. So let's jump into it. This is it right here, folks. Doing more versus better thinking. It's very easy to get in the mindset of, oh, I just got to get up earlier. I got to stay later. And while I'm working from home, oh man, now I got to do a lot more things. Some of the challenges while you're working from home is maybe I'm working too hard. Maybe I've got some distractions I didn't have before. Maybe poor habits. Hey, I've got the refrigerator, 15 feet away, so I'm going to that more often. Maybe it's poor technology issues. Whatever the case may be, there's a lot of different challenges out there. The number one challenge when you're working from home is time management. And that's where I want to give you some ideas, some strategies around that. But one of the big things is doing more versus better thinking. When we're trying to accomplish a higher level of productivity in uncertain times, and we're trying to kind of deal with things, it's very easy to just put our head down and let's work harder, let's stay longer. But as you'll see here in the graph, the results in effort. I'll put in more effort, but eventually I'm going to hit that ceiling. And that's the ceiling of what I call diminishing returns. It's the ceiling where I'm not getting any more higher level of result. I'm putting in more time, more hours, but it's simply not happening. So how do we get to that higher level? How do we break through that ceiling where we're actually accomplishing more? We're reaching higher levels of productivity. That's where you find where is subtract and to simplify. So how do we subtract and simplify? We do that with better thinking. And let me give you an example of this. How many of you own an Apple product, an iPhone, an iPad, maybe even an iMac back in the day, an iPod back in the day? There's a lot of people, I'm sure probably 80% of you on the call own some form of Apple product. Now, the interesting thing about Apple is when Steve Jobs was asked to leave, the new CEO, he was there for a while, came over from, I think, Pepsi, and they weren't doing too good. They were doing probably over 400 some different projects, and they were failing. They were trying to do too much. They were trying to move 100 things an inch rather than 3 things a mile. Okay, so Steve Jobs comes back, and he says, whoa, we're doing way too much. We're going to cut it all the way down to 10. Now, did that piss people off? Did people get upset? Absolutely. Was that a hard thing to do? Absolutely. Did that require better thinking? Absolutely. But then look at the result. Look what happened to Apple. They started producing the iMac. They started producing the iPad. They started producing the iPhone. And then they just took off. They became one of the world's most successful company because of their ability to apply better thinking versus more effort. And that's so tempting for us as leaders. We always want to apply more effort. We always want another project. Oh, let's just do this. Let's just put this on the plate. And we don't really take the time out to really think and say, is this going to get me any closer to my goal? Do I have the bandwidth to take this on right now? Okay. So this is very applicable because while your strategy and your business might shift a little bit, that means you have to stop doing some of those things that maybe you were already doing. Okay. So that's a key thing to really take away is to subtract and to simplify. I want to read you a quote from Steve Jobs as well here. When he was interviewed, he was talking about better thinking and the ability to simplify and the ability to focus. He says this, he says, that's been one of my mantras, focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple, but it's worth it in the end because once you get there, you can move mountains. Let me share that with you again. That's been one of my mantras, focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. As human beings, we love to make things complex. We have an affinity for that because that's just kind of in our nature. Oh, well, let's just add this on. Oh, we can also, yeah, let's just do this in addition to. And then next thing you know is we have something that's started off small and simple and clean, and then it gets so complex and convoluted that what's really important is not getting addressed. So I love that line there, but it's worth it in the end because once you get there, you can move mountains. So absolutely fantastic. Now, another thing here as well is being busy equals lazy thinking. Oftentimes, if I'm just reacting to things, if I start my day answering my emails and I'm reacting, if I'm running from one meeting to the next meeting, then what's happening is I'm just reacting, and it's a part of just being busy. And I don't really understand what my priorities are. Okay. And that's the result of when I say lazy thinking, I'm not sure what my priorities are. All right. So any questions on that? Feel free to put in the chat box. And if we have some time, I'll get to it. We've got 6 minutes in here. All right, let's keep cranking here. Now, why is this so important? Because when you go into an office, an organization, a lot of times how we think of the time is kind of messed up. It's kind of in archaic terms. We think of time, it's kind of like that Sally Struthers. Remember that song? I'm working 9 to 5. It's how I make my living, working 9 to 5. Okay, maybe that was a little bit, I don't know. I got to work on that a little bit. Okay, but the idea is you see that we're working 9 to 5, and we think of our work in terms of hours. We think of it in terms of time and effort, as you see here on the slide. And I want you to get out of that. I want you to write down value and impact. I want you to start to see your contribution to your organization, or maybe it's just to your business, as value and impact, because that's where we're going. That's the future of work, is being able to contribute on projects, on specific things that make the business better, that grows the business, okay? Now, when I'm just given a set amount of time, if I'm going to work for 9 to 5, I have this Parkinson's law. This is what happens. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So if I'm given that 8-hour workday, I'm gonna fill it up with stuff. I'm gonna fill it up with some meetings. I'm gonna fill it up with over here. And then what's amazing is like when 2:30 rolls around or 3:30 or whenever, the oh shoot maybe kicks in, because you say, oh my gosh, I got to run to my son's game. It's 5 o'clock or 5:30, and what's really important didn't get addressed. And that's something as well I'm going to talk about, is my little procrastination question. You can put this on a Post-it note. This is what I hand out when I'm doing my speeches, but it says, are you inventing things to do to avoid the important? Are you inventing things to do to avoid the important? I think we do it all the time. That's why I wrote this Post-it note. This is for myself, so I can put it on my laptop here, and that way I can look at it. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm inventing some things to do to avoid the important. And this usually kicks in, like I said, around later on the day, like 2:30, 3:30 in the afternoon, where it's like, oh man, now I got to get that done. I got to get what's really important, because I spent my day in meetings and answering emails and all these reactive activities that weren't really what I was supposed to get done. So whatever's most important, that's what we want to get done right away. That's what we want to get done first, because as the day goes on, my willpower drains. My energy starts to go out of me. So that's a very key thing. So focus, okay? So Parkinson's law, work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So I want you to really circle, write down value and impact. So when you think about your work, think about, okay, yesterday, just what are my 1 to 3 things that I did that was valuable and impactful for the organization? That's where we want to be thinking. Okay. All right. So value and impact. Now, who is this guy? Everybody probably knows the person on the left. That is the president. That president's name is FDR. That's exactly right. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. But you probably don't know the gentleman sitting to the right of him, or sitting to the left, depending upon how you look at the frame. That is a man by the name of Harry Hopkins. And what Harry Hopkins was he was a close advisor to the president. Okay. He was a close advisor to the president, and he was actually one of his most effective advisors. Now, he only worked how many hours a day? 3 to 4 hours a day. That was it, because of health reasons. Harry could only work 3 to 4 hours a day, but yet even Winston Churchill went so far to say Harry Hopkins is Lord Heart of the Matter. He's one of the most effective advisors that I've ever come across. Now, how is that possible? He only worked 3 to 4 hours a day. You say, oh my gosh, he worked half of the time that all the other advisors worked in DC. But why was that the case? Well, here's the reason. We go back and we think he had a limited time, so he had to make the best use of his time, okay? He applied this principle right here, and that's the 80-20 principle, where a small amount creates the greatest result. 20% of our effort produces 80% of our results. So Harry could see, okay, I only got to use, saying to myself, he was saying to himself probably, hey, I've only got maybe 3 hours today. So what are the meetings I need to have? What are the phone calls I need to make? The memos I need to draft that's really going to produce the greatest level of return on investment, the greatest level of return on my time. And that's the way we want to be thinking as well. Because this whole 80-20, right? 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. 80% you could say of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers. 80% you could say of your problems come from 20% of the people you know. Or maybe it's a 90-10. 90% of the problems come from 10% of the people I know. The key thing here is to look and to see and to spot the inequality. Everything, it's not, if I put in 10 hours, I'm going to get 10 hours, result. No, that's not how it goes. We've got to be very selective. A lot of times we have a to-do list, right? And we're planning our day using our to-do list. We've got 10 items on there and we get through half of them. So half of 10 is 5. At the end of the day, we don't focus on what's done. We focus on what's not done. But the key thing is here is, though, there's no filter as far as what to do on that to-do list. We're just randomly doing that. Okay. So we've got to be selective. We've got to start thinking in terms of what's going to drive the success. What's going to give me that success? And this is a wonderful time, an opportunity you can take advantage of, because I'm hearing folks, when I work with sales organizations, I'm hearing people in sales, they're telling me, they say, Eric, you know what? Yeah, this time in our country, it sucks right now. And a lot of challenges, but you know what? I'm getting through to people that I never had the opportunity to get through, because you know why? They're at home and they're answering my call. And I say, oh, that's great. Hey, you're taking advantage of the opportunity. Get through to those clients that you don't really have that time, because maybe they're so busy or you're busy, or, whatever the case may be, and start to cultivate those relationships now. And I was saying also, hey, send them something in the mail too, because, hey, our mail system's still going. So just a little something that differentiates yourself. So small amount creates the greatest result. I love this thing. Joseph Giron, he is a quality and guru guy, came to America, and what he was responsible for is the vital few amongst the trivial many. And I just think this is so important, because I look at this in my life and I apply it in all situations. Not only do I apply it in my work and my professional life and what I get done, you're going to see how I plan my day. I'm going to give that to you. But also I apply that in my fitness level. A couple years ago, many years ago, I was a personal trainer, this and that, and used to, run people through the whole gamut of free weights and cardio, this and that. And then I read an article there was a book, but Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Body, and it talked about this lady, Tracy Rifkin. She lost 130 some pounds and she was 43, 44 years old. And I was like, whoa. And then I kept reading and she was like, oh, and I only work out for, like less than a half hour, in the whole week. And I was like, half hour in the whole week. And she talked about the kettlebell swing. Boom, I was sold. So here, 5 years later, that's all I own here in my little space here is all kettlebells. So the kettlebell swing, kettlebell snatch, that is a perfect example of, the 80-20 result in another area of my life. So I look at this in a lot of areas of my life and see, okay, where's that 20%, that vital few that's going to give us the greatest amount of impact. And this can also be for happiness. Hey, 20% of my time is going to give me 80% of my happiness. Maybe it's that, when I'm winding down the day and I'm having my glass of wine or scotch or whatever you drink, and you're just kind of, thinking of the successes that have taken place, or you're thinking of the opportunities that you're going to capture on, or you're with your family and your friends and you're just enjoying some carefree time with them. Okay. Whatever the case may be, think about that. All right. So as we get moving here, this is a great question. I always love to ask this question to my audience members, and I want you to write this down, because the answer is not going to come to you right away, but over time, you're going to get better and better to see where it is for your priority. If you only work 4 hours a day, what would you do? And think about it like this. If your employer came to you and said, hey, I'm going to pay you the same amount of money. I'm going to give you the same amount of money, but you're only going to work 4 hours a day. But here's the deal. I want to see your value and your impact in the organization go up. So if you can do that, I'm going to allow you to only work 4 hours a day. Now, what's going to happen is in the human mind is your mind's going to start to kick in. You're going to start to really spot what are those vital few activities, those vital few relationships, those vital few calls. How do I grow that? You're going to start to see that. So that's the thing. I always like to put that out there. If I only worked 4 hours a day, what would I do? Okay. So, and also too, with that, you can say, hey, what would I subtract? What would I cut out? Because sometimes we have a habit as human beings is if we do something well, we do something great, better than anybody else, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's important. Let me say that again. If we do something well, does not necessarily mean that it's important. There was a lot of things that I was doing in my business, and I always thought, oh man, I'm doing them great, but they weren't priorities. They weren't that 20% that's going to give me that 80% level of result. Awesome. Now, here's where we get to the kicker here. Wow. Okay. This is how I plan my day. This is it right here. And this is what it looks like. This is in its 3rd edition. This is a priority planner that I came out with that I use in my trainings and such. So here it is, and I'm gonna spend some time walking through this. Also on the chat. That's great. Awesome. Yep. Awesome. Very good. I love people putting in there in the chat. And I can't believe we got 100 people on the call. We probably maxed it out. I had a Zoom subscription. Now I'm in probably trouble of only 100 people. So now there's probably people that can't get on, but a good thing we record this. And hey, you know what? If you like this, let me know that you like it. Email me or something. I'll do one of these next week too for 20 minutes or it's 25 minutes. We'll see. But hey, here's the thing, how I plan my day. It's called the Priority Planner. It looks like this. I have it for 12 weeks. And this is exactly how I do it. So I look at it and I plan it the day before. And I talk about planning the day before sets us up for success. Preparation begets confidence. Now, you don't have to have all of your priorities planned, but the key thing is if I have 1 or 2 of them, I'm ready to go. Okay. Now it starts off with not even what I'm going to do, but it starts off with what? From reflection. What were my wins? So if I'm looking at this, let's say I'm going to plan for, let's say it's Thursday, I'm going to plan for Friday. I look and I think, okay, what were my wins yesterday? Oh man, I had a great call with a client of mine in DC. We did a 4-hour webinar on managing multiple priorities. It was fantastic. Kept everybody's attention and maybe got a couple laughs. Okay, great. Did that. Second thing is, oh man, I had a great walk, outside. I don't take advantage of that enough. Now I've got the time. Okay. Third thing, hey, I had some great time. I had a great family dinner. Okay. I write down my wins. Why do I do that? I do that for myself. And you got to do that for yourself too, because the number one source of your motivation, here's the key thing, you write this down. A lot of, motivational speakers, I used to think I was a motivational speaker, but I can't motivate anybody. Motivation has to come from within. Motivation comes from within. It comes from when we see our progress. It comes from when we see we're making progress on what matters to us. Okay. So you don't have to wait until somebody gives you an attaboy. You don't have to wait till your boss says, hey, great job. No, motivation comes from within. So that's why I start my day writing down what were my wins, because I want to keep my motivation, my confidence high. As a sales professional, that's the number one thing that you have to protect. You have to protect your confidence, because the minute that starts to slip, when you go meet with clients, they can start to see a little bit. Oh, is that person maybe they're not all there. Do they really truly believe 100% in what they're doing? Okay. So 3 wins from yesterday, get in the habit of doing that. And you can copy this verbatim. Okay. You can take this and use this verbatim. So start the day off, and it only takes about 2-3 minutes to do this. So you write down what were your 3 wins from yesterday, and it's a great habit to get into. Now, when you have that, another key thing too is not only you start to see you get confidence and momentum because you're seeing what your progress is, but the second thing is it creates this what they call the habit of the gratitude of the attitude of gratitude, where you start to see you're being more grateful, and that's a great quality to have in the midst of everything that's going on, everything that's taking place. Is you start the day with gratitude, which is a wonderful thing, okay? And you'll start to see too, some of these wins from yesterday, they might start to be your 80-20 priorities, because you're gonna see, man, of all the things I did yesterday, if I answered a lot of emails on a lot of conference calls, I did a couple teleseminars, what was most important? What was most important? So you're gonna start to decipher, and this is a process. Finding out what those vital few activities for you are in your business is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't like poof and then it's it. No, you get better and better at it. Okay. And then you get better and better at it, where then you're working, like I said, 3-4 hours, and you know exactly what calls to have, what relationships, what lunches to take in order to grow your business. So let's look at priorities now. Now, so we got the 3 wins from yesterday. I put the date at the top with 3 wins from yesterday. Now I'm on to the other half, which is 3 priorities for today. So I write down, what are my 3 priorities for today? I start with number 1. What's the most important thing I want to get accomplished today? The most important thing. If my day goes to SHI, okay, I need to know what's the most important thing I want to accomplish. Now, I write it down. There's 3 things. There's 2 parts here. There's outcome and there's action, and then there's the time. I need to think through, what is the outcome? What is my desired outcome that I want? Okay, my desired outcome. So like, for example, on this, what I was writing yesterday for this, okay, a successful 9 a.m. training call. That's just incredible. High energy, blah, blah, blah. I read a couple things here. And then the action is for me, okay, got to prepare. Got to have my slides ready, got everything ready to go. All right, and the time, how long is it going to take me? 25 minutes, okay? Which actually I said 20 minutes. I'm going to give you an extra, maybe a couple bonus, all right? But we're right there at the point. So if you got to go, that's okay. I'm just going to give you a couple extra minutes to go through, explain this. So that's the idea, is I'm going to write down what's my outcome and my action and then the time. And you got to think through the time. How long is this going to take? Because here's the thing, a lot of times we overestimate what we can do in one day, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in a year or 5 years. We try to bombard ourselves with what I want to get done today. We put the pressure of time on ourselves, and oh man, we get stressed out because we're putting too much on our plate. So here I just say, just start with one priority, okay? Put the time there. How long is it going to take? Is it take an hour, 2 hours, half hour, 50 minutes? Whatever the case may be, that's fine. Put that there. What's the action? What's the first action you're going to take? The second action. If the more that you plan it in your head, the more when your day starts and I look at this, boom, I'm ready to go because I can just see the first action step. I don't get paralyzed by the fact of the one word that just says budget. Oh man, damn, I don't like to plan the budget. What do I do? Let me just go talk to, John down the hall. John's my buddy, and we can talk about sports or something. So that's where, we kind of procrastinate because we don't have the actual action to get us going. And then boom, you do number 2. Priority number 2 is you write down, okay, what's the second most important thing I want to accomplish today? Okay. Time. Okay. It's going to take me half hour. And then I put the action there and then do that with priority number 3. Now here's the kicker. When you add all 3 priorities up, they should be no more than 4 hours, no more than 4 hours, because you have to allow time for interruptions. You have to allow time for phone calls. You have to allow time. I mean, hey, some of you, if you're doing childcare, you're watching your 5-year-old. I'm at times, I've got a 5-month-old. So she's great and it's awesome. Sometimes I kind of get, I help out with that. So, hey, you have to allow time for other things that are going to come around. So we don't have maybe that 8, 9, 10 hour window. So we've got to really be focused on this. All right. So outcome, action, and time. And then what's really great too, is you get that shot of dopamine of accomplishment where you get to check it off. You get to check it off throughout the day and be like, yeah, that's it. I'm accomplishing what I set out to accomplish. Okay. I'd rather have you go 3 for 3 than have you go on a to-do list where it's like 4 for 10 or 5 for 10, because then what's happening at the end of the day, what's most important is not getting done. And then you're feeling like, oh man, I'm still overwhelmed. Oh, I've got all these things, so that's kind of the idea with that. Awesome. All right. That's it, folks. Next week, if you want to tune in, we can get this going next week. I've got my weekly strategy sheet to share with you. This is exactly how I plan my week. For sales professionals, the sales time system, we can talk about that because just different things are happening. But really appreciate everybody being on the call today. If you have any questions, awesome. Looks like people are liking it. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. So one last tip I'll leave you with too. I set a timer here. You can see it's kind of ticking down. I put my phone in airplane mode and I set a timer for like 25 or 15 minutes. So I've got like 2 minutes left on this 25-minute timer. But I'll set a timer there because it keeps me focused. So I'll work 25 minutes and then I'll get up and I'll go do something else. And I'll work 50 minutes and I'll get up, give myself a 10-minute break. Because if not, I get distracted. I'm checking emails. I'm doing self-inflicting distraction, where I'm self-attention disorder. Something like that. I haven't had another cup of coffee, but anyway, that's kind of the idea there. Been an absolute pleasure. If you like today, you got some value out of this, shoot me a personal email if you have any questions, because hey, we can do this again next week. Would love to do that. This is like the most I feel like connected to my audience in a while, except for yesterday. But having 100 people on the call is fantastic. You can tell your friends about it, then I'll get the higher subscription. Give you 3 things here to let you go. May you have gratitude for your past. May you find the joy in this present moment, and may you have hope for your future. My name is Eric Papp, everybody. Thank you guys. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.